Another thing we will now take a look at is how to configure routing on the firewall. We have two routing methods that we could use on PanOS. Certainly, the easiest way is going to be to just configure static routes for network virtual routers and static routes. Or as an alternative, you could also use dynamic routing with RIP, OSPF, BGP. You could even configure IP multicasts and use some advanced routing features such as policy-based routing or even perform route redistribution. And as I said earlier in this session, the advanced routing engine or just advanced routing mode is going to even give you access to some more tools and options for the different routing methods and protocols. But we will do the basic stuff. We will configure a static route to point to router 2 on the outside, so the firewall knows how to get to the internet. So this is going to be a static default route where I'm going to point to router 2, and then on the inside we will use OSPF. We will run OSPF with router 1 in area 0 in the backbone. Router 1 is already pre-configured, so we should see that once the adjacency comes up, the firewall is gonna learn about 10.11.11/24 prefix. Let's take a look at this on the GUI. I'm gonna go to network and then virtual routers, because virtual router, remember, is what kind of like makes our routing table. Our interfaces belong to the default instance, which means that this is the instance that we want to modify. Static routes, let's start with this. Let's configure a default route. I'm going to add a route for 0.0.0.0/0 with a destination of router 2. Excuse me, this is the name, so I'm going to call it default-route. This is the prefix 40/0. And then I'm going to say that the default route is reachable out of Ethernet 1/2 with a next hop address set to router 2 192.0.2.2. I'm going to leave the default admin distance metric. The routing table is, of course, set to unicast. We want used bidirectional forwarding detection or path monitoring. This is the simplest configuration for the default route we can get. And then we will switch to OSPF from static routes. We will enable the OSPF process. I'm going to give it a router ID of 10.10.10.10. And we will configure the backbone area. Notice that you want to configure the backbone as 4 zeros. That's the syntax that the firewall is going to take. This is going to be a normal area where the interface where I want to put to the backbone area is going to be my inside, which is Ethernet 1/1. 1/1 goes to the OSPF process. We only enable OSPF on the inside. Okay, no virtual links, no authentication, no advanced changes. It's just this single interface, and let's go ahead and quickly commit this change. I'm going to close. You don't have to keep the commit window open. You can always go ahead and take a look at the commit status under tasks over here. The way that we will verify our routing configuration is by clicking on more runtime stats. Again, we are still with network and virtual routers. So more runtime stats. It's going to display the content of the routing table here. And if we take a look at the OSPF tab, this is also where you can verify the adjacencies. And now we see that the adjacency is up we have established an adjacency with router 1. We go back to the routing table. We should see that we learned about the 10.11.11/24 network. Let's refresh, and we see that the prefix, OSPF prefix, is over here. We also have a default route pointing to router 2. Okay, so if I were to go back to the command line,
you guys don't forget to subscribe if you like our content. Thanks!
Of the firewall, I should be now able to ping from the inside interface. I should be able to get to 10.11.11.11.1, which is the Ethernet 0/1 of router 1. And I should be also able to get to the internet if I change the source to 192.0.2.10 and try to get, let's say, to Google's DNS. So it tells me that I have full connectivity in this network, at least from the firewall's perspective.